Good evening. The Stanislaus LAFCO meeting, Local Agency Formation Commission is now in session. Today is March 22nd, 2023. It's 1800. Please stand. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now for the introduction of commissioners. We'll start with you.
Commissioner Graywall here.
Chair O'Brien, city manager. I'm a city member. That too, city manager.
Amy Bubak, city manager.
Ken, you got it. Okay. Ken Lane, public member.
Jennifer Vieira, Commission Clerk.
Rob Taro, LAFCO Counsel.
Sarah Lytle-Penny, Executive Officer.
Javier Camarena, Assistant Executive Officer.
Thank you. Good evening. We'll go to public comments at this time. Members of the public may comment on items not listed on the agenda. People wishing to speak, they've filled out their cards, so if I may, Jamie Akers, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jamie Agers. I live at 7730 McHenry Avenue, Modesto. That's in the unincorporated area of Stanislaus County, but within the proposed project area of the Riverwalk specific plan. I'm here this evening just to speak briefly about that. When I was here last, we showed you a drone video of the area that hopefully helped clarify the beauty and the agricultural nature of the area. Recently, the area was tilled up and planted for its next new crop. We're waiting to see it sprout so we know what it is. And fortunately, in February, we had a little break from all of the rain, and we got out there and worked our own brand new almond orchard, and we tilled and hoed and weeded and fertilized and pruned, and I'm happy to say it's doing well. And I cannot tell you about the exquisite quality of the soil that we have. You have to just see it and feel it and work it to know for yourself, which is why the state classifies our area as prime ag land in its classification system through the Department of Conservation. And that speaks to the point I've made many times about why prime ag land shouldn't be paved over in residential and commercial development. Those types of projects should be directed to soils of lesser quality. We urge you, when this project comes before you, which it likely will, and we expect the draft environmental impact report to come out anytime, to please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, did you want to speak?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Not this evening.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on. Seeing no more public comments to correspondence.
There's no other correspondence other than in the news.
Thank you very much. Declaration of conflicts and disqualifications. Any board members or staff having conflicts here tonight?
None.
All right. Moving forward to the consent items consisting of the minutes of January 25th and the mid-year budget report for fiscal year 22-23.
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion to accept the consent calendar and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Moving past public hearing to other business, we're going to be talking about the reclassification of LAFCO Executive Officer and Assistant Executive Officer. Sarah, that's yours.
Yes. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what has occurred so far and the results that we received from the county HR department. First, by way of a brief background, the commission had requested information about salary comparisons and classifications for its employees back during adoption of the budget last year. Staff had presented some initial information with the commission during the budget process, and the commission requested that staff go ahead and request a formal study with the county HR department for the assistant executive officer and the executive officer positions. And as a reminder, Stanislaus LAFCO is an independent agency. LAFCO contracts with the county for provision of staffing, office space, and a number of different services. LAFCO has an MOU with the county to reflect those services, and then the commission enters into an agreement directly with the employee that's hired by the commission as the executive officer. So getting into the results, the letters from Stanislaus County Human Relations are attached to the packet, but this is just a summary of their recommendation for the Assistant Executive Officer. That position is currently a Manager 2, and the county recommends that it be reclassified to a Manager 3. It would still have management level benefits, and they also recommended that it be block budgeted as a Manager 1, 2, 3. Staff's quick analysis of that is that it is very competitive with not only the other LAFCOs, but internally as well with the county senior planner range. It's also 10.8% higher than the 8-county LAFCO average. The block budgeting element of that will help us to potentially attract assistant associate planners and planners that are willing to move up their career in the LAFCO world. So it's very logical to have that position be block budgeted as a 1, 2, 3. And then next up, this is a summary of their recommendation for the executive officer, who is currently a Manager 4. County HR recommends creating a new classification called Executive Officer LAFCO. That new classification would include department head benefits, and the salary that they recommended would be assigned to an existing range that they call Band E. And I want to drill down a little bit into how their recommendation compares to the current salary as well as the 8-county LAFCO average. In your packet are the 8 counties that the county uses to compare to, including Fresno, Kern, Madera, Merced, Monterey, Sacramento, San Joaquin, and Tulare. Staff had noted in its original information that 2 of those counties, Madera and Merced, currently employ part-time EOs, and their part-time salaries, sometimes they're hourly, tend to drive down the average rate when you do the 8-county comparison. So there's 2 numbers up there, or 2 ranges up there, excuse me. One is the 8-county average that includes part-time EOs. The other is an 8-county average that looks only at full-time EOs with a slightly higher average, as would be expected. And then the highlighted range that you see there is the county HR recommendation, which falls roughly in between part-time and full-time. And then below that, I've noted the recommendations. If you look at the part-time range, the county HR recommendation is considered above that average. If you're looking at the 8-county or the 8 LAFCO full-time EO range, their recommendation is below average. So the staff report itself has comparison tables to the other county LAFCOs, to cities, county positions, also JPAs in the county. I also attached the letters from county HR dated January and March, and the benefit tables for management and department heads are attached as well. The commission really has 2 options tonight. They can accept county HR's recommendation and adopt a resolution that does the following listed here. It approves those reclassifications. It authorizes the EO to execute the changes to the MOU and to the EO agreement. And it requests that county HR take action to effectuate the reclassifications, and that would include going to the Board of Supervisors and also processing any paperwork to make the salary changes. The other option, if the commission desires more information or they want to communicate directly with county HR regarding those recommendations, would be to designate an ad hoc committee. That would be 2 of your commission members that would meet with HR to go over the recommendations and return to the commission with a recommended action. And that's what I have for the commission.
So hypothetically, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. should we say yes and we pass it back to the county supervisors, don't listen because, you know, it's gonna come to you. Would then the expectation be that it would start the new fiscal year? We're not thinking retroactive, we're saying July 1st?
It definitely would not be retroactive, and I would be surprised if it made it in time for the end of this fiscal year. But we do have money in the budget to cover if it met where we had like a month of the new reclassification numbers prior to the end of the fiscal year.
It's, what's the impetus for, I didn't realize the county couldn't just put it on an agenda before June 30th.
I would hope, but I don't want to, I think it's realistic to say the new fiscal year, because then I can include that into the budget and just have that as an expectation. But I wouldn't want to push and say that the county board could get it on, you know, the next agenda or the next, I know there's usually a standard lead time for a board item, so I don't know that they would be able to get it and effectuate the, or to get the new MOU signed in time before the fiscal year.
Supervisor, do you know anybody on the Board of Supervisors?
You can try, but I know the lead time.
No pressure.
Four weeks.
Yeah, that's not, okay.
Well,
But, you know, if it was approved tonight, the expectation would be that if the commission recommended such, that it would be effective as soon as it could be approved by the board and processed through it.
So it would only be a recommendation that we're making tonight, correct?
Correct.
To the Board of Supervisors, correct?
I have a couple of questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Ken.
I'm just asking.
Well, that and your action is necessary to update the memorandum of understanding and the agreement with the executive officer. So it does have impact. Like the decision made by the commission is necessary for it to go forward. Both entities are necessary.
If I may just, I think I am in agreement with Sarah, but what I think it is, it's not necessarily a recommendation, but more an agreement, right? That this commission and the Board of Supervisors would have to agree on a new MOU that set forth the pay. The current MOU refers to, you know, it's signed by both entities. It sets the pay at a certain job classification in the county, which is a manager 4. And so I wasn't here in 2001 when that was done, but, you know, both sides agreed, yeah, that would be it. So not just a recommendation per se, but kind of a opening salvo, beginning negotiation might be the way to think of it.
Yeah, I would agree, and you know, we certainly don't know what the county's budget is, and from that end
we
of
do.
it,
We do.
right? Well, maybe.
We do.
I can recite
Maybe,
it.
maybe, but, you know, from the
read it.
city aspect, from a public person, right, I'm not involved in that anymore. But, anyway, I
As a county
would,
resident, you'd be happy to know we're very fiscally sustainable.
thank you.
Oh, I'm gonna bite my tongue.
I'm going to ask a couple questions. First off, we're independent of the county. She's independent of the county, is she not?
The executive officer is an employee of the commission.
Right.
And you are, in my opinion, the commission is the hiring and firing authority of the executive officer.
That's correct. And we, in a lot of the management, senior management in cities and other government organizations, they have direct contracts with the hiring and firing authority.
Nice.
Like I have my city manager, but she has other people that work for her, and they are senior management, and they have independent contracts that goes up to, she has leeway on that. For the city manager, I'm not bound by certain rules. That's why there's a disparity between city managers, you know, one against the other. So she's independent of the county. So why do we have the county setting the parameters of employment? First off, let me get back. When we started negotiations with Sarah 5-6 years ago, there was a glaring disparity, and we wanted to correct that. I don't think this corrects it. It may be for the assistant, but it doesn't for an independent executive director. I'm done.
Okay, so.
Your turn.
Thank you. I think I think what you're asking me is why, my understanding of your question is why does it appear as if the county is setting the terms
Yes.
and conditions of her employment? And if that's the question, my answer is that that's what was entered into in the MOU between LAFCO and the county dating back to 2001.
Right.
And so at that time, I was not here at LAFCO. I'm assuming that there was some sort of negotiation agreement, discussion, whatever you want to talk to, and that was what was decided upon. I don't have the historical context, but the parties who signed that MOU were the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Ms. Paul, whoever, I can't, Mr. Shores, who was the EO of LAFCO at the time, and then some respective lawyers from county council. Whoever it was Mr. Seeley on behalf of county council, and Mr. Wright, who was counsel for LAFCO. So
Okay.
there was some sort of agreement, is the answer.
I would like us to accept the assistant pay, because that is within the boundaries. But I think that we get clarification from the county and their human resources on what is the true relationship and how do we control it. Because, again, we're independent of the county, and I don't want to I have nothing bad to say about anyone in the county, but I would like the independent entities be truly independent.
But are we, if, who accepts the money? The county processes that, right? I mean, I think it's more of a
We
JPA.
process it. She accepts it. They control.
From this, okay, so when the city of Riverbank needs to pay a allotted amount.
About
it goes-
$14 a month, yeah.
Well, it's like 27,000 or whatever the amount is the cities pay annually. It goes to the county, yes? Or does
Yeah,
it go?
that's actually a legal requirement that it goes to the county auditor
Right.
to
Right.
So
to collect it.
they're doing it
They're a
for free.
collector.
So it's kind of a JPA, right?
Yes and
My
no.
my only fear is that we are behind the ball here. We can always alter the MOU later, but I'd hate to stall what should happen, in my estimations, by the virtue of, okay, let's go back and let's do this independently. If we go forward with this and then have a secondary, let's go look and change the MOU for later, that makes more sense to me than saying, let's take a piece here and let's hold off on this, because that means that's not gonna happen for a lengthy amount of time. Because working with the county, it takes a while to get things to the board, like it does for any. So then somebody's harmed by it financially.
Okay.
If
Go
I
ahead.
just may
Yeah,
comment on that if the commission wants to take any action on salary of either positions, the MOU has to be amended. I'm not sure. Okay, I wasn't sure from your comments if you thought that it did not need to be amended, because there was an amendment in 2006 that changed the title and pay of the assistant executive officer, but as it stands now, to get any of these recommendations, it has to be.
But he's talking revocation, right? You're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're saying not having the county have the MOU, we stand alone, is what you're saying.
We do stand alone.
Oh, we do.
Okay, what if we move forward with what is proposed, but go into negotiations, because we still have to modify the MOU? And then because right now, to get to this point is 2.5 years. Okay, with that 2.5 years, it's been just, I thought it was gonna happen last year, and it has not happened. So we set a deadline, or we just accept it, and there is no deadline. Okay.
Was it-
What do we want to do? For me, here's what I would like to do. Set an ad hoc committee, chair and vice chair, to sit down with HR to negotiate the agreement of the position, and also negotiate, that has to be with the Board of Supervisors, the independent entity LAFCO within Stanislaus, just like Stancock is. If we move forward to what this is, there's a reason to stall. But as you say, at least it'll move forward without jeopardizing financial, and at the same time, we still open the door for negotiations with both the county and the HR. Because we still have to have you manage somehow with HR, because we're not going to hire an HR manager for you. Yes, sir, I didn't mean to push you off.
I don't think you did. I was waiting for you to finish. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, I'm not, I just need clarification on what you're trying to do, because I'm not sure about the second part where you said, I thought you said something about the committee establish independence from the county for the position. Did I catch that right?
Yeah, we are
So-
independent.
Yeah.
We have to accept that fact.
Yeah, LAFCO is independent, is statutory creation, Cortese, Knox, Herzberg, right? We got it.
Yeah, we got that.
And so, but if you're trying to do something different,
I'm not trying, no.
I'm concerned that that's not on the agenda tonight. It's not part of it for the Brown Act. What we have is the salaries of these people, these positions. You could do the ad hoc committee, if that's what you want to do, to have further discussions with CEO HR,
Right.
to work together to identify, again, you're going to need to come back to the full commission to have some sort of motion to suggest what the salary is. But the committee could communicate with COHR just like any other ad hoc committee where you're light on your feet, you can do it, and then they report back to the full commission, and then the commission takes action from there.
Okay.
Is it,
That,
that's the right proposal?
go ahead and comment on what we said, because it affects you, for one thing, but it also affects the agency in the long term.
So if we believe that this likely wouldn't be effective until the new fiscal year, I don't think we're going to lose too much timing with having an ad hoc committee that would hopefully bring back a recommendation in time for next month. And I say that because next month would be our proposed budget item for the commission anyway, so it would be in line with that. I think it would be helpful to have discussions regarding not entire independence where you throw out the entire MOU and all the services that we currently get from the county, but maybe to clarify the positions that the commission is requesting, the governance of those positions, and the ability of the commission to set the range for those positions. So narrowing the discussion to personnel independence versus entirely throwing out the concept of us being under the county umbrella for benefits and for other services is what I'm leaning towards, recommending. In other words, don't throw out the whole MOU, but work on potentially modifying the section regarding personnel and classifications.
Oh, yeah.
So if you were to go the ad hoc route, we would look at being hopeful that a recommendation comes back within a month, so before next month's meeting, or I guess at the very latest, prior to final budget, which would be the month after.
Well, it took 2.5 years to get to where we are now. Then I'm going to just go ahead and recommend that we accept the salaries as today and form an ad hoc committee, independent, to sit down with HR to discuss further the classifications of personnel. Can I do that?
What was the first part that?
We accept the classifications today for both, as proposed by CEO HR.
Choice one out of two, is that what you're asking?
Or it's choice 1 and 2, right? Because you're going to,
Right, choice one,
okay.
and then designate an ad hoc committee. Right, but I'm doing both. We're accepting the payment for right now, but we still need to further clarify.
And what is it that you want to clarify?
I want to clarify the control the county has over the position of, of our manager here, our executive director. I don't believe that the county HR should have the control like they do over the executive director of LAFCO.
Okay, I understand where you're going. I'm just not sure. Yeah, let me just, here, talk to Sarah.
Sounds like it's going to be an item for future considerations.
No, it's not going to be an item for future. I propose that we accept item 1 and designate an ad hoc for item 2 to see if there's any additional.
Still discussing that.
Because it's not the county that's paying for it, for one thing. I don't see
I get that, but
why they're concerned with part-time and lowering down the wages. That's, to me, that's,
Well, I mean, that's what that was getting at.
So the first recommendation is to accept the results of the CEO salary survey and then move forward doing whatever the legal machinations are to make that happen between the respective bodies.
right.
So is that one of the things you want to accomplish?
That's what I want to accomplish. 'Cause
Could I recommend doing 2 motions? If that's your, can you make that just one, would you mind just making that the first motion and see if there's a second? And then we could take up the second? Would that be permissible?
okay, that'll be fine.
Okay. So then, is that your motion to
That's
accept?
my motion.
which is to
Number
do,
1.
just to do number 1. Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Should I be abstaining from the second motion?
No,
No?
it does nothing for you financially.
Yeah.
No, it's not financially, it just, the conversation of if the county should be involved or not involved.
You don't need to
You're
recuse
good.
your, I'm sorry. You don't need to recuse yourself from that. LAFCO contemplates these situations, and that you're to, for all the members, that you're to exercise independence irrespective of however you got here. So that's not, not a problem. Thank you for checking. All right, then, so Mr. Chairman, did you have a second motion?
I do have a second motion. Is it? Okay.
Well, let's
I have
hear
to
it.
make it.
Let's hear it.
Oh,
Okay, designate an ad hoc advisory committee to further discussion on reclassification results with the county HR Relations Division and return to the commission with recommendations for action.
Who's gonna, are you gonna identify those people now? Because
Yeah.
obviously it should be city, county, or city
It's
public.
going to be chair, vice chair. That's usually what you have for your
Okay.
ad hocs.
Okay, just so it's in the record.
You got that?
And you're good with
This
that?
executive officer, you have that?
Yep.
You good with that?
Yes, thank you. So you have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, any opposed? That motion passes 4-0. Thank you. I didn't mean to make it a 20-minute meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Any commissioner comments? There are no additional matters. Executive officer report.
Yes, for our next meeting, we'll be having the proposed budget and potentially some additional conversation, depending on what the ad hoc committee comes up with. We also recently recorded the Central California Irrigation District detachment that you heard at the last meeting. And other than that, we will see you next month.
Okay, and the next meeting will be April 26, 2023, 1800 here. This meeting is adjourned.